Recently, I was discussing a problem I've been having with a friend. And it's not just us. A recent global survey identified that the entire world is sadder than before. In particular, millennials and Gen Z. In conversations, how often do you hear the words hustle, grind, chase, hunt? Words that indicate lack have become badges of honor in our times. But what if there's a solution to this climbing unhappiness? That's what Buddhist Yoshimoto Ishin attempted to create in the 1940s with a practice called Naikan. The story goes that after achieving enlightenment doing a strict Shin Buddhist practice called Mishirabe, Ishin wanted to make the powerful introspective process he experienced widely available. A practice that could help anyone live their lives happily despite their circumstances. But what is Naikan and how can it help us?
Naikan means introspection.
A meditative self-reflection practice.
The most effective journaling technique that I have ever done.
Focusing on our relationships with others and how we've been a burden to them, how we've benefited them, but also how they've benefited us. You're doing this kind of life review, and so people then have this feeling of being reborn.
And seeing that at least once a week I have a feeling that my life is a lost cause, I thought I'd be the perfect fit for this experiment. Now, it has two types of Naikan. The first is intensive Naikan, which has an interviewer that checks in with you periodically and is used more for addiction, depression, and serious mental illnesses. What I'll be doing is the other form of Naikan, daily Naikan. And all I have to do for the next 7 days is answer the following 3 questions. What makes Naikan different from other forms of self-reflection and gratitude is that it takes our feelings of things out of the equation. It's more factual. For example, it's not gratitude for the cup of coffee we're having. It's acknowledging that we've received a cup of prepared coffee from the barista we bought it at, and seeing that we're part of a larger system that contributes to our lives. So after day 1, I'm really surprised at how I feel right now. I feel worse than I did before I started. I thought I'd be really grateful and really excited for life, but I just feel like I feel like it's the most powerful method of self-reflection I've ever used before, hands down. I approached day 2 with some hesitation. After all, I thought this practice would help me feel happier, but instead I felt extremely selfish in addition to my already stable unhappiness. But somewhere in the process, it finally clicked. I'm starting to understand what this Naikan thing is really about. It's more about just seeing what you're doing and how you're receiving things from people, and it's both giving me a sense of gratitude and showing me ways that I can improve. It's showing me the patterns of how I contribute. It's giving me a very clear path on things to look for to make a change. So I'm excited to carry this forward into the other problems that I've been having. With this new positive reinforcement, I thought I'd test Naikan out against a more powerful problem I've been having. You may have seen this sign by now. It says Radical Empathy 2023. I've been having difficulties readjusting to life in Japan. Because culturally we're so different, it's sometimes difficult to understand the intentions behind people's actions, which often lead to feelings of rejection and confusion. But as the person on foreign soil, it's my responsibility to put myself in their shoes. As I sat and reflected on my relationship with Japanese society, the Naikan practice revealed something important to me. I'm constantly receiving things from people. The intention didn't matter. Be it a sense of duty or genuine kindness, the action is what supported me. This made me feel a strong sense of gratitude and helped shift my perspective to one where I was focused more on giving. It didn't solve the problem, but gave me a chance to see it in a new light. At this point, I was feeling fantastic. Naikan had given me a totally new perspective on my life and just how many people contributed to it. The grocery store worker, the convenience store worker, the barista that made my coffee, and it gave me a really strong sense of gratitude and a feeling to contribute. And I thought I had really found a hack for my unhappiness. That is until day 4, when I had nowhere else to look to. Two important things happened on day 4. I launched a new video on YouTube, and it was my best performing video to date, and a coworker invited me to a barbecue, both of which should have been great, but I felt disconnected from them both. I sat and refreshed YouTube hoping that this would be the one to take off, and I resented my coworker for interrupting what would have been a night I went out to celebrate the completion of a long grind in creating that last video. That's when the obvious hit me. I had to focus the Naikan on myself.
It's your unlimited desires that are clouding your peace, your happiness. Have desires. You're a biological creature that stands up and says, I can do something. I move, I resist, I live. But just be very careful of your desires.
I'm not sure if this is how Naikan is meant to be used, but boy did I get something from this, particularly when I got to the question, what troubles or difficulties have I caused myself? In my pursuit of the person I'm becoming, I completely forgot about the person that I am and that evolution is a process. Here's what I wrote that night. I dangle a carrot of the future in front of my face constantly. So when I do reach that future, there is just another carrot. I don't pay attention to my needs first and often berate myself for not doing the things that will get me to where I want to be. And I feel as if a lot of us feel that way, especially when we're watching the artificial lives of others on social media, or when you're in an environment and you feel as if you don't belong, like you should be somewhere else. We often get trapped up in the vision that we have for what it would be if things were different, if we were somewhere else. And it's that constant desire I've come to find that is really the source of my unhappiness and maybe a lot of your unhappiness as well. So far, I've learned that it's okay for you to have desires, but also we must take a moment to sincerely appreciate all of the effort that we're putting in and give thanks and gratitude to the person that we are right now. And well, for day 5, 6, and 7, Naikan proved to be a helpful tool. I continually reflected on people and circumstances that have been making me feel less than ideal, and it mostly provided me with a new perspective and clear action paths. But there were some downsides, and I'd like to talk about those before answering the question, can Naikan really change your life? First problem I found is that unless you're a person that constantly keeps track of things that you've done for people, you will have some difficulty recalling all that you've given. It's a lot easier to think about what you've received, and that always leaves me feeling just a little bit guilty. And it's not the best feeling in the world. It puts up some resistance to wanting to do the practice sometimes. The next thing I noticed is in dealing with a problem that I've voluntarily put myself into, a circumstance that I'm not happy in, it didn't work. I didn't feel the sense of gratitude. Even though I saw all of the things I received, it did make me feel just a little bit to do more for the circumstance that I'm in, but at the end of it, I still really didn't care, you know? It felt more like obligation than gratitude. So maybe Naikan won't work if you have a client that you don't really care about, or a job that you don't really care about, or are in a circumstance that you're not really too attached to. Last thing is that I think I bit more than I can chew with the 30-minute session. It's a long time. You know, the resistance from knowing and going to feel guilty, as well as just having to sit for 30 minutes and think about that stuff, kind of made me push it to the last minute. I'd always do it right before bed, especially on day 5, 6, and 7. It was tough for me to actually continue to do it with consistency for that length of time. And well, the verdict is an overwhelming yes. Absolutely, Naikan. It changed my perspective on things so much. Like, I feel really willing to give, and I really care about all the things that people do for me now, and I have a strong sense of duty and gratitude now because of it. I won't do it every day, definitely not for 30 minutes a day, but I'd like to implement it in my life at least once a week, maybe for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, or just at least practice once a week so I can keep this mindset shift. It's taken away a lot of the bad feelings and left gratitude in that place and a sense of duty. So yeah, definitely try it out at home. If you enjoyed this video, check out another one of my videos here. Peace and love.